Well, we certainly now have a peace agreement which has the potential to be the basis for a sustainable peace in South Sudan into the future. Unfortunately, we're still missing one signature from that peace agreement, and we really need President Kiir to agree to sign the agreement and show that he is also committed to the cause of peace. And only then really can South Sudan begin to rebuild its economy and also rebuild the lives of its people that have been shattered by this terrible conflict. Well, I think that importantly this peace agreement has much more in it about power sharing than previous attempted agreements. It also has a lot more detail on how the security services will undergo a fundamental reform and how an oversight body with both international and regional participation will be set up in the future, and also the establishment of a hybrid court which will look into abuses. So it's a very wide-ranging document. It's not just an agreement between elites, but it's something which really has the potential to address the root causes of the problem. Well, of course you're right, and we are in the process of consulting with our regional and international colleagues to try to make sure that we do everything possible to deliver this peace agreement. We've made clear on a number of occasions that there are alternatives if the peace agreement is not signed. For example, we could respond to the African Union's call for sanctions, and there is the possibility of an arms embargo. But it's not just about sanctions. What's really important is for the South Sudanese leaders to put aside their differences at this stage and enter into the spirit of the agreement and work together for a lasting peace in South Sudan. Well, obviously the conflict in South Sudan affects the wider region, and that's why Ethiopia has really taken a lead within IGAD in pushing for a sustainable peace agreement for a very long time now, and we're so close to achieving this that I hope that their efforts are going to be rewarded. What we've seen in recent weeks is that the region has become much more unified in pressing for this peace agreement in South Sudan, and that's really important, not just so that we can get signatures on the agreement, but so that we can also make sure that the peace agreement is implemented and that it becomes a sustainable arrangement in the longer term. And that's really very, very important. But I think perhaps in this week, when we've seen World Humanitarian Day happen, it's also important to remember just how hospitable and welcoming Ethiopia has been to over 250,000 refugees from South Sudan. So they're playing a role not just in the negotiations, but in the humanitarian work which has flowed from the conflict in their neighbour. No, it was really great to have our Minister Ellwood here for the summit, and I think he had a pretty successful time. He delivered a very well received speech on behalf of the Troika, that is the UK, the US and Norway, and he had a series of very helpful meetings, I think, including with Presidents Kenyatta and Kiir and several foreign ministers from the region. Normally he doesn't deal with these issues, but covers Middle East and North African matters, so it was a change for him to be able to come to Ethiopia, but he did find his short visit to Addis very, very interesting. And then later after the summit, just before he caught his plane, we took him to Yod Abyssinia to enjoy some injera and shiro. At least he told me that he enjoyed it very much. And he's promised next time he comes to try some eskista as well. That is, for those of you that don't know, Ethiopian dancing with lots of use of the shoulders. So we look forward to his next visit.